Let me ask you a question. What if the only thing standing between the life you have and the life you want is the way you think? Not your background, not your age, not your job, not your bank account, just your mindset. We live in a world where people chase change, new jobs, new relationships, new routines, hoping that something external will finally fix everything internal. But what if the truth is much simpler and far more powerful? Your thoughts are shaping your world every single day. The quality of your thinking is determining the quality of your decisions, your confidence, your peace, and even your income. If you keep thinking the way you've always thought, you'll keep living the way you've always lived. This isn't just about positive thinking or wishful ideas. This is about rewiring your mental patterns, replacing limitation with possibility, fear with clarity, and reaction with purpose. If you truly want to grow, to evolve, to step into the best version of yourself, then it's time for one thing, an upgrade. Not of your phone, not of your wardrobe, but of your thinking. Because when your thinking changes, everything changes. Every action we take, every decision we make, and every direction our life flows in begins with a single root source, our thoughts. What we repeatedly think shapes our identity, influences our behavior, and ultimately sculpts the reality we experience every day. The world around us, the opportunities we notice, the challenges we avoid, and the relationships we nurture all stem from the lens of perception we've built over time. That lens is made up entirely of thought. When someone believes they're capable, they naturally pursue opportunities. They take initiative, engage with purpose, and are resilient in the face of obstacles. On the other hand, when someone constantly thinks of themselves as limited or unlucky, their actions reflect hesitation, avoidance, or even self-sabotage. They might not even realize it, but the pattern of their life mirrors the story they've been telling themselves internally. The mind is like a garden. Whatever seeds we plant, be it positivity, doubt, fear, or courage, will grow if nurtured consistently. If you feed your mind with negative, fearful, or resentful thoughts, over time, your life will begin to echo those patterns. You'll find reasons to complain, enemies where none exist, and problems that grow larger with attention. But if you train your mind to focus on growth, opportunity, gratitude, and strength, your external life begins to mirror that shift. Relationships improve, goals become clearer, and even setbacks are viewed as stepping stones. What many people don't realize is that the external world often reinforces our internal beliefs. This creates what's known as a feedback loop. If you think you're not good enough, you might avoid going after opportunities that challenge you. As a result, you don't gain the success or confidence that comes with growth. This then confirms your original thought, "See, I told you I wasn't good enough." It becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. But this works in reverse too. If you believe you're worthy of success and put in effort aligned with that belief, even if you stumble, the momentum carries you forward. Each small win reinforces your mindset, building a stronger, more confident self-image over time. Your thoughts also influence your emotional state. If you constantly think you're failing or behind in life, stress becomes a regular companion. But if you remind yourself that you're learning, adapting, and making progress, even slowly, your inner world becomes calmer, more optimistic, and this emotional shift drives healthier decisions. You eat better, you sleep better, you show up better. There is immense power in recognizing that thoughts are not just fleeting mental noise. They are the architect of your experience. You can't always control what happens around you, but you can always control how you interpret it. That interpretation is everything. Two people can go through the same event, say, losing a job, and walk away with completely different outcomes, simply because of the thoughts they attach to that moment. One might spiral into hopelessness, while the other sees it as the push they needed to start a dream they'd been putting off. The external trigger is the same. The difference lies in the internal response. That's why working on your thinking is not some abstract, philosophical concept. It's practical, essential life maintenance. The mind is your control center. It tells your body when to act, your emotions how to feel, and your beliefs what's possible. The more you become aware of your thoughts, the more you gain power over the direction of your life. You begin to notice negative loops and replace them. You question limiting beliefs. You become more intentional. And slowly, the outside world starts to reflect a new level of growth, clarity, and fulfillment. All because you changed the way you think. Most people want their lives to improve. Better finances, stronger relationships, more peace, more purpose. But very few are willing to examine the root of their current situation, their thinking. It's easy to wish for change while maintaining the same habits, the same decisions, and more importantly, the same mindset that created the results they currently have. But that's like trying to upgrade your destination while staying on the same road. If you want new outcomes in life, you must first install new patterns of thinking that support those outcomes. You can't solve today's problems with yesterday's mindset. The beliefs, strategies, and mental models that got you where you are will not necessarily take you where you want to go. In fact, they might be the very things holding you back. When you cling to outdated perspectives, assumptions, or fears, you limit your ability to grow beyond your current level. Many people unconsciously repeat the same year of experience 10 times and call it growth, simply because they haven't challenged their way of thinking. Let's take a simple example. Someone may be working hard at a job they hate, convinced that putting in more hours will finally lead to satisfaction. But if the mindset says, hard work equals happiness, without considering whether that work aligns with their values or purpose, they will continue to burn out. The outcome won't change unless the thinking behind it does. A shift in mindset might sound like, maybe it's not just about hard work, but meaningful work. Maybe I need to redirect my effort, not increase it. This applies to every area of life. In relationships, old thinking like, I always get hurt, so I'll never open up, creates emotional walls that prevent genuine connection. In finances, the belief, money is hard to come by, can cause someone to overlook opportunities right in front of them. In personal growth, thinking, I'm just not that kind of person, becomes a mental ceiling that blocks transformation. New thinking opens new doors. When you start to question your automatic thoughts, you create room for alternatives. Instead of asking, why does this always happen to me? You ask, what pattern am I repeating that leads to this result? That one shift in question changes your focus from being a victim of circumstance to being a student of your own behavior. And once you become a student, you gain the power to change the script. Upgrading your thinking requires humility. It demands that you admit, maybe I don't know everything. Maybe the way I've been looking at things isn't the only way. That self-awareness is a form of strength, not weakness. The most successful people aren't the ones who never struggle. They're the ones who regularly examine and adjust their mindset. They treat their thinking like a system that needs maintenance, not a fixed identity that must stay the same forever. There's also a level of discomfort that comes with new thinking. It can threaten your ego, challenge your old identity, and make you feel like a beginner again. But that's the price of transformation. Just like muscles grow through resistance, your thinking evolves through friction. Moments when your beliefs are challenged by new information, new experiences, or honest self-reflection. Ultimately, every transformation in life starts with a decision to think differently. It's not just about trying harder. It's about seeing clearer. It's about recognizing when your current approach isn't working and being bold enough to shift. Whether it's letting go of perfectionism, replacing fear with action, or moving from self-doubt to self-respect. The pivot always begins in the mind. Before new behaviors come new thoughts. Before new success comes new perspective. If you want better results, they won't come from the same mind that created your current limitations. They come from a willingness to think in new ways. Every person desires growth in some form, whether it's personal success, emotional stability, financial independence, or a deeper sense of fulfillment. But what separates those who grow from those who stay stuck isn't luck, background, or even intelligence. It's the ability and willingness to elevate their thinking. Real growth doesn't begin with action. It begins with perspective. The way you see yourself, your potential, your challenges, and your future directly affects how far you're willing and able to go. Mental elevation means rising above the noise of doubt, negativity, and limitation. It means seeing yourself not just as you are, but as you could be. It's the process of moving from reaction to intention, from survival to strategy. When someone operates from a low mental state, filled with fear, insecurity, or fixed beliefs, they tend to shrink in the face of problems. They wait for things to change on the outside while doing little work on the inside. But growth requires the opposite. It requires stepping back, thinking bigger, and embracing discomfort with a forward-facing mindset. Think of the difference between a person who sees obstacles as dead ends versus someone who sees them as feedback. One stops, while the other studies and adapts. That difference lies in mindset. A higher level of thinking doesn't ignore difficulty, but it refuses to be dominated by it. It looks at failure and asks, what is this teaching me? Rather than why is this happening to me? That one shift in mental altitude opens the door to learning, and learning is the seed of all growth. Mental elevation also changes how we define and pursue success. Instead of comparing with others or chasing surface-level achievements, we start to ask deeper questions, what does success mean to me? What kind of person do I want to become? That shift is crucial because shallow goals often lead to burnout, while goals grounded in purpose lead to transformation. Elevated thinking turns life from a race into a journey, where the focus is on progress, not perfection. Another key factor is the quality of your self-talk. Many people operate with an internal voice that constantly criticizes, doubts, or belittles their abilities. That voice becomes a mental anchor, holding them back every time they try to grow. But when you elevate your mindset, you start speaking to yourself differently. You replace, I can't. How can I? You replace, I'm not ready with, I'm willing to learn. The words you use with yourself shape your identity. And identity is the foundation of consistent growth. Elevated thinking also allows for resilience. Life will throw challenges. Financial setbacks, health issues, rejection, disappointment. A low-level mindset interprets these as signs to quit. But a higher-level mindset understands that growth is not linear. It's messy, unpredictable, and often uncomfortable. But it's also worth it. Elevated thinkers reframe setbacks as seasons, not sentences. They know that every difficult phase contains an invitation to rise. Just as a tree cannot grow with shallow roots, a person cannot grow without grounding themselves in powerful beliefs. Mental elevation means feeding your mind with thoughts that empower rather than limit. It means exposing yourself to books, people, conversations, and environments that challenge you to think upward. The quality of your mental diet eventually determines the quality of your life. You cannot expect to grow if you constantly feed your mind with doubt, gossip, distractions, or defeat. When the mind rises, so does everything else. New decisions, new habits, new relationships, and new levels of peace all begin with a change in perspective. The climb isn't always easy, but the view and the version of yourself you meet at the top is always worth it. At the end of the day, your thoughts are the foundation of your life. If you want to experience real transformation, lasting, meaningful, and fulfilling, it doesn't begin with changing your job, your city, or your circumstances. It begins with changing your mindset. Your current life is simply the reflection of the mindset you've carried until now. And if you want a better life, the most powerful tool you have is your ability to think differently. Remember, old thoughts will never lead to new results. Growth isn't about trying harder at the same things. It's about thinking deeper, seeing clearer, and acting with new intention. When you elevate your thinking, everything around you starts to shift. You attract better energy, make better decisions, and create a better future. It's not magic. It's mindset. You are not stuck. You are not finished. You are simply one new thought away from a completely different direction. Thank you for giving your time, energy, and focus to this message. That alone proves you're ready for more. Keep challenging your thinking, keep rising, and don't stop growing, because your next level is waiting for you. Good luck on your journey of transformation. The best is not behind you. It's ahead of you, and it's yours to claim. Thank you. And remember, upgrade your thinking, and you upgrade your life.